Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Forgotten Generation podcast, hosted by Troy Njenje Mbanga. This podcast is about amplifying young people's voices and the journeys they're on. Joining me today is Ella, who is co-founder of Vocality and a college student, also a Children's Commissioner Youth Ambassador. Would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners, Ella?
Troy, I'm so grateful to be here. My name is Ella Bromfield. I'm 17 and I'm a youth advocate and public speaker who has performed at a range of events from regional finals to school assemblies. I am very passionate about showing young people the power of their voice, and for me that comes under three main categories, which are reporting bullying and sexual harassment, like asking for help whenever you need it and voicing your opinions. And I am also a sixth form student and I am studying biology, chemistry, psychology and an EPQ.
Amazing, and a great introduction, and it's so good to have you on today's episode. And so the first question I will start with is, what is your youth social action, youth voice journey?
So I have always wanted to be involved in making change for young people. And when I was in secondary school, that involved joining the equalities group and training to be a anti-bullying ambassador. And from that, I got training from the Diana Award, which was very great and I'm very grateful for. And I want all young people to feel as though they have the power to speak up for themselves. And as I came into sixth form with a group of friends, we decided that we wanted to co-found a public speaking startup, which we've called Vocality. And this has the long-term goals of becoming an established non-profit charity. It aims to help young people to have those core skills for public speaking and to be able to tackle imposter syndrome so that they feel as though they deserve to be in every room that they're in. So I think that in the future, there needs to be more spaces for young people to have debates, to do speech competitions, and just general ways that they can voice their opinion. And I hope to be a part of that in the future. But right now, I am currently a youth ambassador for the Children's Commissioner of England, which is an amazing opportunity. It's a platform that allows me to talk about what I'm passionate about and work towards getting that change made in the real world and speaking to the people who can do that. And I'm also a volunteer at the National Union of School Students, which is a growing organisation, and it hopes to work with hundreds of schools to create meaningful and impactful school councils.
Wow, you do so many incredible things. Love the work that you're doing, and especially when it comes to public speaking. A lot of young people find it very hard to public speak in different events, like in school assemblies. So I'm so glad that you're helping them in those and key and tools, which I think is so inspiring. As you should be so proud of yourself.
Thank you.
What inspires you to make a difference and be who you are and today in your journey?
So the main thing that has inspired me is my own lived experience. So I have seen how schools respond to reports of sexual harassment and bullying, and that motivated me to want to correct that system, because I think that there needs to be better support put in place for the person reporting it and just everyone involved. And that needs to be ongoing support, which can really help them get over everything that they have experienced instead of shoving it under the cover. And I've also been seen by CAMS, and I've heard from other people about the standard of care that they received at CAMS. And this showed me that this system needs improvement for many reasons, such as the waiting times, which can be up to 2 years. And I read on the NHS website recently that it's around 18 weeks for the first appointment, which I think is quite long. Over 4 months, your condition could get way more severe within that time. So there needs to be some kind of support within that. I'm now going off topic. Back to the things that inspire me. The spoken word community has inspired me so much. I am a poet, even though I don't get the time to perform as much now as I'd like to. I have always been involved in writing poetry ever since I was 10 years old. And this community is so outspoken and proud about their opinions, and they share it loud. And that's always inspired me. And it's been an outlet for me so that I can express my political opinions and to manage my own emotions. So since this has changed my life so much, I want to share that with other young people, and I want them, if they're interested in poetry, to feel free to do the same. The final thing, and possibly the most important thing, which has inspired me, is my parents. So my dad is very passionate about environmental sustainability and making sure that the next generation has a world that they can grow up in. And my mum is a sexual abuse lead and a social working senior manager. So the amount that she does and the amount that her work has already made improvements for young people, it inspires me and shows me that my work can go somewhere and there is still room for change.
Absolutely. And because I think your parents sound so remarkable and the work we're doing. And especially your mum, how much her work is impacting a lot of change. And you also touched on about poetry, which I think is also such a remarkable thing for your journey to very much express yourself. Because I do a lot of poetry. And when I kind of write about issues that I care about, it really gives me because like a chance to feel seen and a chance to write all my feelings down to really make because a powerful statement. And you also said about CAMS, which is very interesting. CAMS waiting times is very not good, is it? And I think there's a lot of problems that happen with CAMS for young people. And the support is very much limited, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, with my experience with CAMS, I got my initial appointment quite quickly, but then after I did their assessment, it took 2 years to get a response. And when I did get that response, and when they offered to have follow-up appointments, I did decline it because within that time, I'd received some support from my school, and I found that to be very beneficial and I didn't need CAMS anymore. But if they did respond quicker, then I might have been able to receive their support and that would have benefited me. And that's just my story. Any other people out there that will have different needs, and CAMS could have benefited them in different ways and maybe to a greater extent than it would have benefited me. And they may have not had a school that could have offered that support to the same degree that my school did. So it's very based on the person. But I think that, yeah, these systems, they need to be improved.
I couldn't agree more. But absolutely and brings me to what has been one barrier you faced as a young person and as a young change maker and making change in your community and wider.
So the main barrier that I have faced is my lack of political literacy. So I have very limited knowledge around how political systems work. And as much as I've always wanted to make change, I've never understood how that change would actually happen, like what the mechanisms of it are. And I know that that's not just me. Lots of young people find spaces where you can talk about your ideas and ask for change. They find them inaccessible. And that might be due to a lack of their own political literacy and a lack of knowledge around how the big decisions are made. So for a long time, I felt like I could have opinions, but I had no way to share them. So I now know that that's not true. And there's lots of opportunities for young people. And imposter syndrome really takes you back and makes you think that you can't do all of these things. But I think everybody listening to this needs to know that you deserve to be in every room that you're in, and you always have something to add to the conversation.
Well said, and that is so important because actually a lot of young people and go through that where they feel like their voice doesn't matter, that they can't be in those decision making and places because they feel like those issues won't get addressed and won't get fixed. But actually, it's so important and so crucial and powerful that young people are at that room because it's so important that you can have that confidence and speak about what you're passionate about. And political literacy, I think, is so important as well. Something I think we don't talk about as much, do we?
Yeah, I think many conversations that I've been in, I've had to go home and then research the words that they were talking about. And that is still something that I face, but it's something that I'm trying to educate myself on.
And exactly, and I think it's so important that we educate about that. What other three issues you think young people are facing right now, and what would be your hope for the government and professionals and decision makers, and to do better in supporting our voice?
So within my topic of the power of your voice, I have found that there are three main issues, which are reporting bullying and sexual harassment, speaking up for yourself, and asking for help when you need it. So in terms of reporting things, bullying has always been an issue, but recently it has dramatically increased due to the rise of social media, and this is the same for sexual abuse. So I think that there needs to be better and earlier education in schools, and there needs to be an improved system of how they deal with the people involved afterwards. And linking back to social media, I think that the big companies who are involved in social media are aware of these issues that are going on the platforms, but they're choosing to ignore it. and big decision makers need to hold them accountable for the lack of effort that they're putting in. And they need to make social media a safe space, because young children who are now being given social shouldn't have to know how to keep themselves safe online. It should be safe already for them. And now going on to asking for help. So there has been a centuries-old stigma that if you ask for help, that makes you seem weak. But in reality, that's one of the strongest things that you can do, if not the strongest thing that you can ever do. So I want young people to feel confident and heard whenever they ask for help. And the thing that the big politicians need to do in order for this to happen is there needs to be services that are available for young people, and they need to be able to respond quickly and with the support that young people need. And then finally, kind of linking back to the barrier that I mentioned, there's a lack of spaces for young people that feel inclusive for them to share their voice and talk about what changes they need to see. So this could also be a lack of self-belief for young people, which is something that Vocality is hoping to change. But I want young people to feel empowered to fight for change, and I want them to always feel listened to by those who are in power.
I love that, and I love what you said, and absolutely those issues are so important. What would be your one piece of advice to a young person wanting to make a difference but don't know how to?
So my piece of advice would be know what motivates you and let that fuel you when you come into these conversations. So I think that if you approach anything with that drive and that need for a change, then you'll be in the right place and you will be valued in that conversation. And you don't need to have political literacy or experience in public speaking. So don't close yourself up to opportunities that align with your mission and what you want to see change. And don't be afraid to do it scared. I think that most people are not prepared for the big opportunities that come to them. And that's part of the beauty of it. Sometimes you fail and that's okay. You will always learn from it. But if you go to it and you don't fail, what if you succeed? Then you could get the changes that you want to happen. And this could not only impact your life because you will learn from every experience you do, but then that will help other young people around you. And even putting yourself into that room might inspire other young people to then do the same. And it will just have a bit of a domino effect and the world will get better. So please put yourself out there and don't let imposter syndrome get the better of you.
Absolutely, and I hope listeners listening to this can take away that advice, because that is so empowering. And so what would be a Forgotten Generation podcast quote, and to sum up your journey in a whole?
Your voice is your power. That was a compliment that I received after doing a spoken word performance a few years ago, and it resonated with me so much because that's what every young person needs to hear. I think your voice has the power to make the changes that you want to see happen, and that is something to celebrate.
And it so is. Absolutely. I just thank you for coming on today and to really talk about your journey and your voice and the incredible work that you're doing. So well done.
It was my honour.
Thanks for listening to the podcast episode. This is a Be the Change Media Network production. Please support the podcast by subscribing and rating the podcast. I'd love to hear what you like and what could be better for future episodes. If you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram and @Troy. And also on X, _Troy. Tune in to next week's episode.